Hi everyone, welcome to week 2 of your distance learning. This week we're going to be focusing on right triangles and the unit circle. So again, this is kind of review of stuff that you've already learned. A lot of you were asking me how to manage your time in terms of what you should be doing each day. In your packet, there is a calendar that's available for you. And that's just to kind of help you pace yourself as to what you can be doing every day. That doesn't mean that, if it's 1 in the afternoon and you're bored and you've done the assignment for the day, that you can't move on to it. You can absolutely work at your own pace and finish things early if you want to. But if you are looking for kind of a schedule to keep yourself on, this calendar here that is in your packet is a good thing to look at. So today you should be watching these video notes. Make sure that you are going out to your Google Classroom page for every single class. Your teacher should be posting some kind of attendance check-in. They might be putting a question on Google Classroom that you have to comment and answer. They might be posting some sort of Google form. But at some point during the week, you should be communicating with your teacher through some kind of attendance check-in. Okay, so make sure you're doing that once a week, every week. On Tuesday, you should be watching the unit circle kind of review video that we have. On Wednesday, you should do an assignment over the unit circle. That's going to be due this following Monday. And then on Thursday and Friday, you should be working on the reflection questions that are on that Google form that we posted. I think that's going to be released on Wednesday morning. So Wednesday morning, you can look at those reflection questions. And then Thursday and Friday, you can work on those. Okay, so it's kind of a schedule that you can follow if you need one. Okay, let's get to the notes for today. So we're going to be reviewing the unit circle, how it's created, where these numbers come from, things like that. So there are special right triangles, and that just means that they exhibit some sort of pattern every time they're drawn out. So our hint here for the unit circle is we've got special right triangles, and we can place them on a circle of radius 1 that's centered at 0, 0. So the unit circle is a circle that has a radius of 1, and all of the triangles that are going to be inside of that circle are centered at 0, 0. So that's where the unit circle comes from. The x-coordinate is representing cosine. So right here, that root 3 over 2, this would be representing cosine of 30 degrees. The y-coordinate is representing sine. So the 1/2 that's here, that's representing sine of 30 degrees. And then the number that you see on the outside of parentheses, the root 3 over 3, this is representing tangent of 30 degrees. Okay, so if I were to write this out, I could say cosine of 30 degrees is equal to root 3 over 2, and so on. There are different patterns that you're going to see. So the 45-degree angle, the sine and the cosine are matching. They're both root 2 over 2. The 60-degree, you've got a cosine of 1/2 and a sine of root 3 over 2, and so on. The pattern's going to keep continuing, okay? The trickier part is the tangent value of that angle. So sine, cosine, and tangent, you can get it from just looking at the numbers that are there, but where does the tangent actually come from? So down here we've got some examples. If I take the tangent of 60 degrees, if you think back to SOHCAHTOA, tangent is opposite over adjacent. If I'm talking about the unit circle, my opposite side is being represented by sine, and my adjacent side is being represented by cosine. So if I draw this right triangle, here's my right angle. This is my hypotenuse, we'll call that R. And this is my angle theta right here. So whatever is opposite from theta, or adjacent from theta, my opposite side from theta is looking at what's happening on the y-axis. So this is going to be representing a y value. Whatever is adjacent to theta or next to it, that's happening on the x-axis, so that's going to be an x value. So I could draw this as my x-axis, and in the blue, I could draw as my y-axis. Okay, so tangent is opposite, which is y, over adjacent, which is x. So I could also write this as y over x. Okay, so if I want to find, let's say on that example, I have tangent of 60 degrees, I'm going to do y over x, or sine over cosine. Okay, so the sine of 60 degrees, let's look back at our circle up here. The sine of 60 degrees is the y value, which is root 3 over 2. So I'm going to take root 3 over 2, and I'm going to divide that by the cosine of 60 degrees, which is 1/2. Okay, so now we've got kind of a 4-story fraction happening here. The way that you divide fractions is multiplying by the reciprocal. So this is going to be root 3 over 2, and then I'm going to flip the numerator and denominator, that's what reciprocal means, and I'm going to multiply by 2 over 1, because 1 over 2 flipped becomes 2 over 1. So this is going to be 2 times root 3 over 2, or you can just cancel out the 2's, and you're left with root 3 over 1, which is just the square root of 3. Okay, so the tangent of 60 degrees is equal to the square root of 3. If I want to find, let's look at that green example, the tangent of 0 degrees, again, I'm looking at the sine value over the cosine value. That would be the sine of 0 degrees over the cosine of 0 degrees. The sine of 0 degrees, if you look back at our triangle here, so here is 0 degrees, the sine of that is 0, and the cosine value is 1. So down here, the sine of 0 degrees is going to be 0, and the cosine is going to be 1. 0 divided by 1 is just 0. 0 divided by any number is 0. So we get 0. If I wanted to find, say, the tangent of 90 degrees, again, we're doing sine of 90 degrees over the cosine of 90 degrees. The sine of 90 degrees, if you look at our, where's our triangle? Here. If you look at the sine of 90 degrees, that is 1, and then the cosine of 90 degrees is 0. So I'm doing 1 divided by 0. Now, any number divided by 0, we're going to call that undefined. We cannot divide by 0. That breaks math rules. So we're going to call that undefined. So you can have a tangent that is undefined. And that's going to happen whenever your cosine value is 0, because cosine is going on the bottom of our fraction, causing us to divide by 0. So here you've got a reference unit circle for you to use. We're just going to go through and answer these couple of questions that are down here really quickly. So this is just being able to find the angle on the unit circle and then tell me the sine, cosine, or tangent of that angle. So if I want to find the sine of 210 degrees. So I'm going to find 210 degrees on my circle, and the sine is the y-coordinate of that point. So I'd be looking right here. So I'm going to put negative 1/2. Now let's find the cosine of 2 pi over 3. 2 pi over 3 is right here. I'm looking at cosine, so I'm looking at the x value of that point. That's going to give me negative 1/2. Let's do tangent of 4 pi over 3. 4 pi over 3 is right here. tangent is the number that's on the outside of parentheses, so this. That's going to give us the square root of 3. Okay, let's try it presented in a different format. So now it says if the sine of x is equal to root 3 over 2, then what does x equal? So that's asking you what angle has a sine that is equal to the square root of 3 over 2. So the square root of 3 over 2, I'm looking at the y values. That's going to happen here. That's going to happen here. We do have other y values that say root 3 over 2, but they're negative. We just want the positive root 3 over 2. So those two green highlighted angles, those were 60 degrees and 120 degrees. You can also list it in radians. So I could say or pi over 3 and 2 pi over 3. Okay, next one says cosine x is equal to negative 1. So it's asking me what angle has a cosine value of negative 1. So I'm going to look at all of the x coordinates that are negative 1. So I've got one here that gives me an x coordinate of negative 1, and that's the only place where that happens on the unit circle. So x is equal to 180 degrees, or in radians, I can say that's pi. Okay, the last one, if tangent is undefined, then what does x equal? So I'm looking for outside of the parentheses, where does it say undefined? Well, that is happening here, and that's happening here. So kind of at the top of the circle and at the bottom of the circle. Okay, so those values are 90 degrees and 270 degrees, or in radians, that is pi over 2 and 3 pi over 2. That concludes this video lesson over the unit circle. So after this, you should be watching the next video. It's a Khan Academy video, and it kind of shows you where the unit circle values come from. Once you've done that, then you should do the assignment over the unit circle. The way you can submit that is you can either print a copy at home, you can write over it, and then you can upload a picture, or you can upload a PDF using the CamScan app. It's free, and you can submit that and attach it onto the assignment. You can email it to your teacher. We would rather you not, just because our email boxes are very full right now and it'd be easier on Google Classroom, but that is an option as well. And then if you don't have a printer at home, you can always just copy down whatever is on the assignment, and you can do it on notebook paper and you could submit it that way. So if you don't have a printer, it's not a huge issue that it's hand copied. That's okay as well. It shouldn't be too much for you to have to write. Please let your teacher know if you have any questions or concerns. Thanks for watching.